All right. Hey, everyone. My name's Trent Stonehouse. I'm the owner of Social Realtor and the founder of the 100K Video Club. You know what it's all about. It's about bringing you all really great knowledge on how you can boost and grow your real estate business. And we bring out special guests like Manny here. And you are all in for a real treat today. Manny has built an empire within real estate, and he wants to come out here and tell you today really how to do this the right way. And Manny, I don't want to say too much. So I want to let you go ahead, introduce yourself, and tell everyone what they're going to be learning today. And let's give it what you got. Hey.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Trent. We love what you guys are doing over there. We're big fans, so I really appreciate you having me on the platform, man. So really, again, my name is Manny Sarnes. I've been in the mortgage, real estate, and title space for basically since I was 21, right? For the past 25 years, this is all I've done. I've ate, slept, and breathed this industry in all the different facets. I've kind of dabbled in many. I've been successful in really successful in a couple, but I've dabbled in almost every facet. And listen, man, I think, this is a business full of passion. And if you don't, obviously 25 years, if you don't have a passion for real estate, then it doesn't take you very far because it's not always easy. As a matter of fact, we do all of our growth in the tough markets, like this market now. Interest rates aren't helping us, right? The housing market's softening, homes are sitting longer. So again, a little bit about my background. Again, I've been in the mortgage real estate title space for about 25 years. I have owned and operated on the ground level mortgage branches, real estate teams, and title companies using all of the ancillary services, maximizing profits through our marketing and branding efforts in sales, which is what we're in. As you're driving clients to the table, the key is to be able to offer them as much service as you can in-house. And as you do that, you offer, in my opinion, a better product and service. You control that scenario better so that you can guarantee or have the best opportunity to ensure your client has a good experience. And I think that's where we lose it in real estate sometimes is we're so willing to give up the control to somebody, another professional expert that we're hoping is going to be able to do some things to execute. Because in real estate, you can't do it alone, right? There's no way to do this business alone, right? I mean, you're the realtor, you can put them under contract, but you got to depend on the listing agent, right? And then
Yeah.
if they're not paying cash, you got to go with a lender. You need a
Hmm.
home inspector. You need a guy to do the survey. You probably need some homeowners insurance, right? And then within all of these companies, you need title. With all these companies, you're dealing with 3 or 4 different people, from the salesperson to the processor to an underwriter. So in real estate mortgage, there's about 100 people that affect your client. And so the more that you can directly impact through good training, good hiring, good business practices, in my experience, have been best. So again, I started in the industry back in 2001. I went literally from bartending to getting into real estate. And I'll be honest, I wasn't a really good realtor. I spent about 1.5 to 2 years in real estate. I wasn't very good. I didn't have great training. I soon after that got into the mortgage space. Why? Because none of the lenders I was working with back in 2002, 2003 were working on the weekends. I just was really having a hard time. I worked on the weekends. My buyers were seeing homes after hours on the weekends. So I got my loan originating license, and I did both for a while. And this is the trajectory. I tell this story because I think most, depending on, regardless of where you're at in your real estate, and when I say real estate, I use that very loosely. Anybody in mortgage, real estate, title, home inspections, appraisals, we're all in real estate. Like that's what we're in. So any of those businesses that you're either in or in a multitude, you're in real estate, right? It's all driven through the sale of real estate, right? You don't do a home inspection if somebody doesn't buy a house. So all of these are real estate, and that's the way I put it. So no matter where you are in your journey, I think my journey, and you're going to find yourself somewhere in it. And then I want to tell you kind of how I got to where I was, and then 25 years later, how I can reflect back on it and see where teams are doing well. I do speak. Me and you, we met in Nashville, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we go. You and I. You're from Canada, right? Like you're
Yeah.
you're traveling everywhere. We travel all over the country, you and I. And our job is to meet with some of the best realtors and lenders in the country. And so when you go to as many events as you and I do, we have that background to do that. So Yeah, so I started off as a realtor. I was okay. I then I was dual licensed as a lender and a realtor for about 4 years, and realized I needed to focus on one. But I had real estate knowledge. So I was actually, as a lender, I was unique. I
Mm,
knew how to read the contracts. I knew how the contingencies worked. So I think, again, you go from a newer salesperson starting out. Then, some of us are fortunate enough to become top producers. And so when you become that top producer, so about by year 10, I was the top producer in every team I had worked for. And so as a loan officer. And so what most of us do at that stage is we say, well, either our mentor or our branch manager, we kind of outgrow them, right? And we say,
right.
I want to see if I can do this on my own, right? So what you do is you say, I'm going to go start my own company, or I'm going to be a team lead. And if you're in that stage of your career, you need to ask yourself, is this driven by greed? Because if it's driven by greed, it's been my experience, you're not going to offer anything different to the market, to the consumer, and you're not going to see the results you want. But if you're doing it because you actually do want to create a different process, a different experience for the consumer, that comes from passion, and that seems to be where people grow their businesses the most. It's where you separate yourself from the market. So if you can't build a better mousetrap and you just want to kind of repackage the mousetrap you already have, that's not, it may not be time. So I did want to really focus on the consumer experience, because I thought lenders, that they just weren't doing it right. I wanted my team to work nights, weekends. I wanted them available, had to be available, work for my team, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. I wanted
Mm,
grinders. I also wanted to bring a level of professional into the industry that I thought it lacked. Like my people, even in Florida, back in 2000, 2012, you wore a tie, right? I had my people wear ties. We looked like bankers. At this stage, you and I, we get to wear a little bit more relaxed clothes now. But I really wanted to bring something different to the marketplace, and I did. And so
yeah.
from about 2012, I started my own branch soon after that. And then by about 2020, when COVID hit, we were looking at, we had grown such a phase that we were ready to start offering real estate and title as ancillary services. I was driving enough leads to my team that I was now ready to not depend on realtors for my business, but to actually start hiring realtors myself. And so we did have home team lending, home team title, and home team realty. And that is really where things kind of really took off. Once I had, and I think most entrepreneurs, I don't know if it's a good or a bad trait, Trent, but we all seem to have it. We like to micromanage, and we have control issues, right? I don't know if it's that way in your business, man, but
Yeah.
I want my baby to look a certain way. Like, this is my
Yeah.
baby. I had to pour 20 years of my life into this thing. So and once I had that kind of control, the title company handled my sellers and my refinances exactly the way I wanted them to. There
Mm,
was co-branding and brand recognition, consistent brand recognition, regardless of what division of my company they were working with.
mm,
So it all started off with wanting to control the consumer experience and having the title for the seller and the realtor, and having the lender for the realtor and the buyer. We controlled that brand recognition. We controlled the path, and our reviews and our consumer experience it was skyrocketing. Good training does that. So, again, whether you're at, so we did this ancillary services, and then, by about, 2024, I really was like, what we had built was so impressive. I'd reached that stage of my career where I didn't really want to train and recruit anymore. I really wanted to bring, this. I wanted to do things like this and really start educating realtors and other lenders about really the benefits of ancillary services, having multiple ancillary services, but actually really how to build their business. And so, although I still focus in the mortgage space, and that's where I am, and working directly with real estate teams, my passion really derives in helping teams maximize what they're doing, because everybody's version of success is different, right? So you start off as a realtor or loan officer salesperson, then you outgrow that to top producer, and you want to lead your own team, and then you go from team leader at some stage, hopefully, to business owner. And
mm,
that's what I wanted to talk about really today, because Trent, a lot of people have a hard time getting out of that phase.
yeah.
They have a hard time owning a business. So, do you own a business? Most of us think we do, or we want to, but really what happens is the business owns you. And
Mm,
that's where I was stuck for 20 years. where I made money. That wasn't, I could make money. I could sell. I could build teams. But what I wasn't really good at doing is building a self-sufficient business that I could step out of and have it run. I didn't want to step out of it. I don't want to step out of it. I love doing this. But I mean, I don't know how many, anybody watch, I mean, how many realtors or salespeople in the real estate mortgage space ever take a real vacation?
Oh, yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't, man.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
man.
a story. I was having my fourth child. It was my daughter. She's now 8. So this is 8, 9 years ago, right? My then wife is getting prepped for labor. I had the gown on. She's getting prepped. She's having a C-section, scheduled C-section. So her hair and makeup's done. She's ready. I'm ready. I remember my number one realtor at the time calling me as I'm waiting to go in there. And I took that call. Now at this stage, I've been doing it, right? 17 years. I had a full team of loan officers that could take that call. But I was still, this was my best realtor. I hop on that call in my gown. I took a picture, sent it to her. You are so important to me as a client. I'm about to go have my fourth child, and you are important to me. I never want people to have to do that. I needed to focus on my family. And listen, as salespeople, we want to be successful, man. We want to do amazing things, and that means giving the best service. And sometimes we obsess over it. And to be honest, good entrepreneurs do. But I think there's a balance that we can strike, and I'd overstep that balance. So how many of us really take vacations where we turn the phone off, where we spend real quality time with our children without looking at the phone? Where we time block and we feel good enough and we've prepped our referral sources and our leads and we have backup systems to say, I'm going to turn that phone off for the next 2 hours so I can watch my son's tennis match and I'm not going to be bothered by it. And so there's a better way with technology to do this business. So meeting with real estate teams from all over the country, it's kind of been broken down in a way that makes sense to me. And that is kind of have 5 stages of building a real estate team and where you're at, right? So once you get out of being the top salesperson, most of the time, if you're not a top producing salesperson in real estate or mortgages, you shouldn't go start a team, right? Like if you don't know how to be a top producer and handle that, how can you teach other people to do it? This is no longer the day and age of fake it till you make it. Listen, there's so much good content out there. We want to learn from people who've done it. We want to learn from people who've done it and who've experienced it. So you're in one phase. The very first phase when you're starting a real estate team or a mortgage team is typically your time to acquire talent. So I'm already a top producing salesperson. I need to acquire talent. I don't want to be a team of one. That's not a team. You're just a top producer with your own name on the building, right? So you need to acquire talent. So you want to go acquire talent. So you are a recruiter. And so you're out recruiting and it happens organically at first. People do transactions with you. They love what you're doing. Maybe some friends not in the industry want to get into the industry. And that's how you build your team initially. But you are a recruiter. If you're going to start your own team, if you don't like to recruit, then you're getting into the wrong business. Just stay a top producer. Because if you don't have salespeople to back your systems, right, to do the sales for you, then it's a long road. So the first time, step one, you're a recruiter. Now, second, once you start recruiting agents, your job and why you take a percentage of their commission and why you should feel okay about taking a percentage of their commission, right, is your job is to increase their sales volume. So if an agent joins you and they don't have any experience, your job is to increase them from no volume to whatever their goal is, right? That's your job. Right? Or let's say they come on, they're doing 3 million and they want to do 8 million. That's your job. Your job is to pour into them training, operations, technology, leads, whatever it is that you offer that makes you different. The mousetrap, that different mousetrap you built while you left your company to go start your own thing, right? That needs to be different and you need to pour that into them. Right. And so as you're pouring into them, your sole job, right, that moment is to take them from where they're at in volume to whatever their goal is, or at least to grow it. Right. If they're not growing every year, that's a reflection of you, not of them. Now, listen, I understand it's really hard. You can lead them to you can lead the horse to water. You can't always make them drink. I understand that, but you should be able to get a portion of them. And so to increase their volume. So in step 2, after you've recruited them, you've got to train them, pour into them. They're using your system. Their volume should be growing. Now, when you take that agent from 3 million to 10 million, what happens is they get on the radar of other good team leaders, somebody like me. And I'm like, hey, I want to go recruit this guy because you have other people out there and it's their job to recruit. So your third job in this phase of building your business is you retention. It's your
Mm,
job to retain the talent you've poured your heart and soul into. Now, let me tell you something. The natural progression of everybody. I have had three amazing mentors. Shout out to Darren Boysen, Eddie Parnell, and Robert Palmer. I've been in it 25 years. I've had three amazing ones. A good mentor wants their pupil, right, to get above them. That means I did a great job. And that's why you have to change the mentors over time. My mentor now, I don't have enough life left in me to get above where he's at, but you always want to be learning from somebody who you aspire to be like. And so you want them to eventually not leave you for another team, no, but maybe leave you to go start their own thing. And that's a beautiful thing. That means you did amazing. That means that you train them and poured so much in them. They are ready to now, and you should never feel bad about that. You should feel blessed if I have great people in my market who I taught, they didn't know how to spell mortgage, and now they run some of the best teams in my market. I am super proud of that.
hmm
Listen, it hurts at first. It hurts, but I am super proud that we were able to do that and when we poured enough into them. But your job is to retain them until they're ready to do that, not to leave another team. If they leave you for another team, that's not what we want. Now, that 3-step process, that 3 to 5 steps, this is where most team leads get stuck. This is what we call now, I hear this term thrown around a lot, Trent, the messy middle, right?
mm,
Right. I'm the therapist for all my agents. I'm doing everything. I'm everything to everybody. Every fire, I have to provide the leads. I have to provide the training. After every time the deal gets complicated, I have to step in and yep, that's what happens. And you get stuck in this because you don't own a business. Your business owns you. So
oh, I
how do
love
you,
that.
right? And
Oh,
this
I
is
love
where
it.
we get stuck. We don't know how to get out because we weren't trained that there's another step. Because normally by the time you get to step 3, you're making good money. And a
Mhm.
lot of times as young entrepreneurs, we think the goal is money. It's not. The goal is to build a business that runs, at least my goal was to build a business that runs as almost as good without me, right, as with me. Now, I hope it doesn't run as good without me, because if it does, then what value am I bringing to my business? It shouldn't run as well, but it should be able to run in periods without me. And I should be focusing on doing the things that I'm passionate about. And that's the messy middle. You're doing things that you're no longer passionate about. You're doing things that have to get done. So step 3, right, when we're retaining the talent, we need to take some of that capital at step 3 when we start having enough talent to retain, and we need to get to step 4, and that is starting to grow real business. And we start dealing with processes, operations, right, models. Now what we're doing is starting to build something we can scale. We got to take it out of our head and put it onto paper. We're now starting to hire. The talent we're attracting is no longer just sales talent. We have to go find operational talent, right? We got to find somebody that will train the agents. We're going to find somebody that is recruiting for us, right? Because if you're not recruiting, then you're slowly dying. You just don't know it, right? So we need to find somebody that can transaction coordinators. And so as you're putting together your team, as you're building it, you need to start putting the pieces together that will start doing the parts of the business that are stopping you from doing the things that you're super passionate about. And so it's different for everybody, right? I hope you're passionate about making connections with realtors, right? If you're a team lead for a realtor, or if you're a loan officer or branch manager, you're really passionate about making connections with loan officers, because that's really what your job is. Remember, step 1, recruit.
Mhm.
So I hope at least part of your passion is recruiting. And so mine was, and so I loved making connections with realtors and loan officers and going to recruit them. And so, but everything else that was not recruiting, I had an operations person to handle. So yes, you have to take a couple steps back. You have to spend some of your hard-earned commission, right, to start spending. But as you start doing that, I started stepping out of production, because now I didn't need the production. Why? Because my sales team was big enough, well enough trained, that I could now earn a living, not off of the what I was selling, but what they were selling.
Mm.
Now, at number 4, when you're building operation and you're bringing in operational talent, whether it be managers, trainers, recruiters, better technology, more leads, what happens is you're going to start knowing things are getting really expensive, right? So your team is getting very expensive. And what happens is you go from a beautiful profit margin because you're a top producing salesperson bringing in your revenue plus a little bit off your team. Well, once your revenue goes to zero and all the profits off your team, you've got this big team, you start to realize something. I've got something to brag about. I'm pushing volume, I'm pushing units. My name's all over town. People know who I am, but I'm making less money now than when I was a top producer. Like, I'm making less money. I got something to brag about. People know who I am because I'm pushing volume. But is this really about bragging rights? Because if so, you're in a great spot. But if it's about building something different, and at the end of the day, a lot of entrepreneurs, what we'd like to do is build a legacy for our family, right? We'd like maybe our kids not to work as hard as we did, maybe have some opportunities that we didn't. So you start realizing that I have this, I'm in step 4, and I've attracted talent, and I've increased that talent's ability to make revenue by training and good processes. And then I've retained them. I've offered good culture by retention. Then I've added operational talent, right, to do the parts of the business that I don't want to do or I'm not good at, so I can focus on the things I am good at, right? And at the 5th, we call it in our industry ancillary services. In other industries, they call it cross-selling. You start bringing in, I was a mortgage person, so I brought in real estate, I brought in title. As a realtor, you'd start looking at mortgage title. I know some people have home inspection services or insurance services. There are so many ancillary services, cross-sell. And you'll realize I'm already bringing in all this business. I'm just not maximizing the profit. And so as I bring in these ancillary services, rather than referring out this, referring out that, I can bring in, because real estate, to be honest with you, we're all dealing with buyers and sellers. Just what facet? You know how to talk to a buyer or seller, right? You probably know some about insurance or something about home inspection because you've dealt with them for your whole career. So do you have the passion to now bring in ancillary services and truly maximize the experience that your buyers and seller have? And so that's when it really just blew up for me. My last mentor really told me all about this, and my mind was blown by, like, wow. So I'm spending all this energy and time getting this client, and now I'm selling them on, they're using 4 or 5 of my services. And actually the cost to get that client doesn't change. So my cost to a client, the cost to acquire the client does not increase much, but my ability to cross-sell and offer more services to them does. That's where true profit's driven. And in real estate, a good profit margin, 20%, maybe 30%, and it's getting pitched down. It's getting, the technology trend is getting more expensive. Cost of leads are getting, rental spaces. I know we're in the cloud a lot, but you still, a lot of these bigger teams, we got to have a space for operational people to come, a place to train in real life, right? There is, in real estate, still very localized. My lending is all done all over the country from a Zoom, but real estate's localized, right? Most of your realtors live within an hour drive of your office, so it's easy to have them come in. That's expensive. When you get into ancillary services, start cross-selling, as long as you're doing it from a place of trying to better the consumer experience, this is where the profit game totally changes. And it all changed for me from there. So those are the 5 facets. Again, it's recruiting, it's increasing the revenue stream or the volume for your sales team. It's then retention. Number 4 is building models and processes and hiring support staff to support them so you can focus on the things that you do best. And then when you're focusing on the things that you love to do, not only are you making more money, but you like your job better. It's how you stay in the business 25 years. You don't get burnt out on it, And then last, again, you add in those ancillary services to maximize the consumer experience. And yes, maximize profit. It is not a bad word. It's okay to maximize profit. And then at that stage, I believe you have that business, but you got to get out of the messy middle. We get stuck there, Trent. So many people, good friends of mine, been in the business a long time. When rates jumped up, they just got out. It just wasn't worth it anymore, and I hate seeing that. So that has been my experience, Trent, when I've traveled the country, talking to these top producer teams, whether it's a mega Zillow flex team in California doing 1,000 units a year, or it's your local team in your hometown trying to just get to 40 units a year. The path is all very similar. Now, we stop at different phases. We all have different journeys, but they almost all follow that same path. And so some choose to stop at a certain phase, and some get stuck in certain phases. So what I like to bring to people is some of that education so that they can maybe take a step back. What do I want to do in this industry? Where do I want to be? And if I'm stuck in that messy middle, maybe it's time to start looking at getting some operational people, getting some help, taking less revenue maybe for a year or two to build the business so I can really focus on what I'm passionate about. And really, like, again, I practice what I preach. I own 22 doors of rental properties. I like, short-term VRBO properties, and then I like commercial. I get to focus some more of my time on those things. Those things are fun to
Yeah.
me. I love to travel and go to Nashville and say, okay, Nashville's a great place to own a VRBO. Where I met you at a great trading event, tons of great realtors, but I also took some time to go look at some short-term rentals, so most of us have some passions, whether it be other businesses, whether it be, mine is all real estate related because, man, I don't know much else, Trent. I know real estate, mortgage, and title, but I have some friends who invest in high-end cars. I have some friends who, flip houses. But you do need to diversify what you do, diversify how you make money. Because if you are, just get one revenue stream, and we all know this, right? Google revenue streams on YouTube, right? I mean, we all know because it's jammed down our throat. You need to be diversified with multiple revenue streams. And some people that might just be, working at Chili's and then doing Uber Eats. And then, hey, that is multiple revenue streams. In our line of work, it is typically, realtor. I know some realtors that do real estate and flip, I know some, again, diverse. I got, some of these big teams we work with, they've got, again, insurance, title, mortgage. If it's in real estate, they do it. And they do it at a high level too, man. It is, they're not dabbling. I mean, these people are, they're well-versed, well-knowledgeable, in every facet of real estate. And they put together some really cool user experiences out there. So that's been kind of my experience, Trent, and kind of where I wanted to try to help people see where they're at, to try to get out of that, try to, the rat race, so to speak. And so, again, do what you're passionate about. That's what the consumer wants. The consumer wants you to be in a place you're highly passionate. Why? Because I've even seen it in politics. Right now, you know what sells, Trent? Authenticity, right? Nobody wants to be sold, but everybody's a buyer, right? Everybody's a buyer, but nobody wants to be sold. But what they do want, we're in the information age, right? So the best people in our industry and in most industries, look at how much free content there is on YouTube or on the internet in general. Great. You could build multi-million-dollar businesses in almost any industry you want just by free content if you really wanted to dig in, and people are giving you all their secrets.
Yeah.
Everybody will give you all their secrets in any business you want, right?
Uh, Amen, man. That's how I built my business. It's
Yeah,
like way back in the days. I started just looking and researching and learning on YouTube, man. And you can get it all there, and you can
you
build
can.
a big business just from that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But here's the thing is they know that most people are not going to implement all
yeah,
that. Why,
that's
Trent?
true.
It's hard to run a business, isn't it, man?
Oh my God, is it ever, right? And people aren't prepared for it.
No, because at first, in the first couple stages, you're wearing all the hats. You don't have
Yeah,
enough money. You're the marketing person, you're the salesperson, you're the accountant, you're the bookkeeper, you're everything.
yeah,
Yeah, and so we all see on YouTube the glamorous side of owning a business, the lunches, the events, the Nashville trips. But what they don't see, Grant, because we talked about this, when the real entrepreneurs, we go back after an 8 or 10 hour conference, 3 days long, and at the hotel grinding, going over your notes. How many of these processes can I put into my business? How many contacts
yeah,
have I made? How many of those contacts do I need to follow up with, right? And that's how you and I built our relationship. Am I
yeah,
making enough content? There's so much that goes behind the Instagram post or the social media posts that we see. But again, right now what sells is authenticity. You have to be authentically passionate about what you do, because right now, because of content, the consumer's gonna sniff if you're not. They have so many options. At the click of a button, they can hire a new lender, they can hire a new realtor, they can hire a new listing agent, they can hire a new insurance policy at the click of a button. And so remember, your client does not want to be sold, right? They are buying something. Are they buying it from you? Are they ready to buy now? Most of them aren't, right? We say 95% of the people that you engage with are not ready for your product or service right now. 95%. But 80% are at some time going to need your product or service or would like to use your product or service. Almost every American would love to experience the dream of homeownership. They
Hmm.
all would. And man, I can show you millions of applications of people who had no business applying for a mortgage who still wanted to do it, right? So
Yeah.
listen, even if you don't have the ability, you still have the desire. So it's our job, right? If we're passionate about what we're doing, to bring the consumer, okay, knowledge, information, passionate, good quality information, so that when they are ready to need one of our products or services, that we are in the running and that we are considered an expert at what we do, right? Because when they come to you, this is all about attraction now, right? We want the consumer to come to us. Now, listen, I got call centers all day long that are consumer pounding the phone, but the better way to do this business, the cheaper way to do this business, is to educate the consumer and let them come to you. And so that's right. That's what we do, Trent, right? We want to educate people in this industry a better way to do it. And then at the end of the day, sometimes there are products and services that we offer that they can use. But listen, 95% of them will never, they won't. We just won't. But that's okay. Because if we taught them something and we were a benefit to this industry that I love, I take it very personal. This industry has been amazing for me. It has changed my family tree. It's changed my life. So I'm totally good with giving back to it. And I think realtors, lenders, title agents, home inspectors, the ones that do, they're successful, right? So
Hmm.
it's been a beautiful journey for me. I've enjoyed it quite well. I wouldn't have changed anything. Like, I'm down markets right now, Trent, out the country. It's a down market. It is harder to sell homes. They're sitting for a lot longer. It's harder to sell rates when they pump up to, it feels like every other month, rates pump up into the sevens. We got to get them.
Yeah.
Bond market's down for the whole week, which is beautiful. Rates are dropping down into the low sixes. Great. But by the time you see this video, they might be back up to seven. But as long as we're out there, passionate about the consumer, passionate about their experiences, passionate about home ownership, it all stems from that, and good things come from that. So hopefully we were able to bring, some knowledge to those, those of us in the industry. Maybe they can, skip some of the mistakes that I've made and some of the twists and turns, zigged when I should have zagged. I learned this. I wish I'd have learned this stuff in year 5 instead of year 20. I could have saved a lot of heartache and probably a lot of money.
Amen, man. Hey, like when I met you in Nashville, Manny, I knew you were a beast, man. And I was like, damn, I'm listening to this whole thing right now. And I was like, I wish I had a pen and paper with me. And so if
Yeah.
anyone's watching this back, I hope you, I hope you go back and take some notes because there's so much you went over there, man. And it was a lot of gold. Like, the first three the steps was like spoke volumes to me, right?
Yeah.
It starts with the acquisition, then it goes with expansion, right? And then retention. And I don't, and, you got the SOPs after that. But look, I think number three is a big one that people really are going to need a lot of help with is that retention part, right?
Yeah,
That's
man. I
probably one of the
lost.
hardest parts.
You're pouring, and this is any business, right? Like this is not just
Yeah.
our business. We're speaking specific to the real estate industry, but man, I have a friend in the car business right now who he experienced the same thing. Bring in
Like,
salespeople to sell the cars, train them about all the
mhm.
products on the cars, get them really good. They're making more money, and then the Toyota dealership across the street steals them.
Yeah. It's 80% of businesses, man. It don't
Yeah,
retention is the number one focus that people really need to
yeah.
put their eyes on. And it's probably the most overlooked because acquisition expansion is the most sexiest, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And really, they're all equally important when you
Mm,
extrapolate it. But at the one that people overlook is that retention part because on retention, the problem is that it's hard to stay in front of your people and constantly offer. This is why culture is so big now, Trent,
oh
right?
yeah.
This is why culture, I'm a big fan of culture. The people that I connect with in this space have amazing culture. Why? Because it's not about money for me anymore. Right. If it's not
Hmm.
about money for me, I'd be retired already. I'd liquidate. I can, it's not, I wanted to be around and work with people I like to be around and work with. And so do your salespeople, right? They want to feel appreciated. They want to feel welcome. They want to know that they can come to you with anything. But they also want a culture it's hard to walk away from. And that's what your
Hmm.
job is to develop that culture where it's no longer about, here's the story, right? At first, when you're recruiting talent with real estate, commission split. It's everything. Leads. How many leads are you going to give me? What's your commission split? At the end of the day, I know some really good realtors on 70-30 splits.
Mm.
Why are they on a 70-30 split when you can go out there right now and get 100% $500 file? Or just own your own company and take 100%. Why? Because the culture and the value add of that team is worth the 30% they pay. And
Mm.
if you really want to build something special, right, and you think about that. Some people have a hard time recruiting taking 5% of the commission, and there are teams out there thriving in this market taking 30, 40, 50% of an agent's commission. How stronger is their value proposition than yours if they can do that? And when you look at the numbers, Trent, sometimes their 50% is more revenue than what you could give them at 95% because of what they bring to the table. And
Wow.
so
Yeah.
there was this mad dash, I thought, for a while to just give the agent as much commission as possible. And now I think it's converted to what I think is special. And that is, how about we give the agent or the loan officer as much value as possible? You don't always, once you recruit them, growing their, right, scaling their business isn't all about giving them more money per transaction. Sometimes it's about making the transaction easier for them, giving them better support staff, giving them more opportunities to sell. And so, yeah, in our industry, it used to be I want the most commission and I want the most leads. And now there's such an array of services that can be offered by a real estate and a mortgage team that the game is on, man. It's interesting. So we talk culture, man. I agree. Retention is so hard. I was telling you about my buddy who runs a car lot. Right now,
Mm.
I was having a conversation with him on Saturday. He would have to sell his car business if all he lived off of was selling cars. So step
Mm.
5, cross-selling, ancillary services, right? These other
Yeah.
services. Well, he makes more money off of his mechanics and his parts division, his service and his parts
Wow.
division, than he does off of selling cars. He is actually taking a small loss. So what he did, because he's a smart businessman, when the car sales dropped, he hired a new mechanic, started advertising the mechanic, some additional warranties, started advertising the parts, and started growing that part of his business. So that part of his business is thriving. And what's going to happen is when the car industry comes back alive again, whenever that is, he's going to have a better business because of it, right?
Mm.
Because he had mastered or had a better grasp on the service and parts industry while he is suffering in the sales industry. So no matter what industry, your industry, my industry, cars, all of it, it's so secular. We all deal with the same things, man. Entrepreneurship is a crazy beast, isn't it?
Oh my God, is it ever? Like there's so many people in this community that we have, the 100K Video Club here in Facebook, and I'm thinking about some people right now. They're going through my mind, and I'm like, I am going to make sure that they watch this because they need to hear this.
Yeah,
And so many people are at this level right now, and I know this is going to touch and like really speak to a lot of people. Um, you know, the fact that you're talking about this is usually people focus so much on like acquisition and leads, and so everything you're saying is pure gold. And I would tell people this: it's like one thing that helped me really get to where I'm going, and it sounds like you as well, right? The mentorship. I've had 2 mentorships right now, and 2 mentors, and phenomenal people that helped me get where I am today. And,
yeah.
and you know, I
Educate
think people
yourself,
see it.
man. Educate, especially
Oh
there's
yeah.
so much free content out there. I mean, I don't get paid by any of these people, but I'm going to plug. Listen, Tom Ferry has more free content if you want to learn real estate. I mean, I learned.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to tell you something I stole from another great coach out there, John Cheplack. Man, he coaches some of the best real estate teams in the country. I heard John say this, so I got to give him credit for it. Listen, markets change, interest rates change, sales prices of homes change. You know what doesn't change in our industry, Trent? The conversations that you're having with buyers and sellers. They have the
Mm.
same 5 concerns or questions, whether they're buyers or sellers. That doesn't ever change. So it really isn't that complicated. You can go back. I was watching a video from 2017 from a coach, and what he was saying about recruiting, you could duplicate it today, right? And we're talking it 7 years later. And the knowledge he was kicking in that hour-long video is still valid today. Again, interest rates change, sales prices change, and the market changes. But what doesn't change is the concept of the conversations that we're having. So please educate yourself. Again, Tom Ferry, John Cheplack, Ben Kinney. There are just some amazing Billy Pipes. These are all phenomenal coaches that coach nationally. That they crush it. They have hundreds of hours of free content online that will absolutely change your concept, especially like I'm in a small market. Like I'm in a small market. I'm near Daytona Beach in Florida. I'm near Orlando, near Jacksonville, but kind of in the middle. when you're in a small market, you get these little blinders on and you don't know what the rest of the country's doing. Get on YouTube and start watching. These national speakers are dealing with, again, they are coaching real estate teams that'll push 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 units in 2025 in a down market. Like that, so you're right, Trent. Educate yourself, find a mentor, and then don't be scared to step outside your comfort zone. If you know it all already, then God bless you. But if you're like me and you're just constantly want to learn, educate yourself because there is some great content out there.
Man, you gave like some awesome resources, and I want to give like 3 books that I think really align with the
Yeah,
messaging of this conversation today. Number one, I gotta say, Good to Great, great book for like
great book.
building. Oh, great book, building that team, that foundation, getting to that next level. And then another one I would recommend to everyone is $100 million offers. I think it speaks more to like different businesses, but
Okay.
like if someone who's got a team, maybe it might help with that recruiting, that expansion part of things. And then the last one I would say, what you're saying too, it really aligns with it, is software as a science. And I'm reading that book and I've read it. It's just because I'm a software company, but
Yeah.
the messaging though, it's the same. And like I think there's a lot of gold, even though it's focusing more around a software and a product, that realtors or team leaders can really take from this book. And I'm telling you, Manny, if you go and read that book,
I'm gonna put it on the list.
your mind's gonna be blown. Like the first two
Listen,
chapters, you're gonna be like, what?
step outside your comfort zone. Read books of other industries. The best
Yeah.
people playing at the highest level, they are, again, they're not just realtors, they're not just lenders, they are business owners, right?
Mm,
They think, if you just think like a realtor or like a loan officer or like a title agent, you're missing it. So anytime you get recommended a book from another industry, everything is cross-pollinated. We can always learn. And if you don't think that real estate is a technology business, listen, you know that Google knows your mama wants to buy a home before she'll ever tell you. You know, she
oh
doesn't
yeah.
want to waste your time, sweetheart. I know you're busy, sweetheart. So she Googles homes for sale in Orlando, Florida. And Google knows. And once Google knows, Zillow knows. And once
Yeah.
Zillow knows, right? So there are competitors out there that will know that your family members want to buy and sell homes before you ever will. This is a technology business. This has
Oh yeah.
become a technology business. If you don't have scalable technology and using technology at a high level in your real estate business, then you're probably not in business. I'm probably not talking to you right now, right? So you are at some facet using it. You should be using it more. You should be using it
Yeah.
a lot more. In the mortgage industry, we're not good with change on the mortgage industry. Realtors are a little better with change. Lenders were slow to crawl, but now that my eyes have been open to technology, Trent, like
Mhm.
absolutely, man. This is we use more technology. And my technology stack, most of us have 9 pieces of technology we probably couldn't live without. And if you don't have at least 9, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
From your ever and all the integration trade, you know better than me. That's your world. But yeah, man. So my book. I like Raving Fans. So that's not a real estate book, but that just tells you how to consumer experience and about
Mhm.
different businesses that from grocery stores to mechanic places, little tweaks that they made in consumer experience, that your job is to have a raving fan, somebody that will promote your business that doesn't work for you. So I
Yeah.
really like that one. And when you listen, when you get into that time of your life where you want to start realtors, loan officers, a lot of us we don't have retirement plans, right? Your portfolio of real estate, when you stop selling, is your retirement plan. So Robert Kiyosaki, Good Dad, Poor Dad, or Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that
Oh yeah.
is, if you haven't read it, if you haven't read it in a while, I read it about every couple of years, or the 4 income quadrants. That's another great one by Robert. But yeah, man, get out there, educate yourself, free content. And I'm not going to lie, I haven't read a book with my eyes in about 3 years, but I'm going to audio book. That counts, right?
There. Yeah, that's me too,
Okay.
man. That's me too. When I mean a read a book, I'm like, I'm listening to the book.
Yeah, well, I
Um,
drive so much, man. I drive like,
the traveling too, right? Every
yeah,
time I get on a plane, I'm actually excited because I know like me flying out to Nashville, right here where I'm at right now for a
yeah,
conference. I 7 hours. I got to list like these
yeah.
books. I was just like,
You can get through a
it,
whole book in 7 hours,
oh
man.
yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
absolutely get through a book, man. So yeah, audiobooks is and again, I know that, or also find some good people on YouTube. We're talking about some of these real estate coaches.
Mm,
Every morning after I leave the gym, so I have about 15 minutes, just that 15 minutes. I'm trying to find something relevant in my industry that I can learn today. And so, sometimes it's not big podcasts, sometimes it's small little place, and I'm learning little nuggets. It's our job to find the little nuggets, man, and see which ones speak to us. But it is a beautiful industry if you have a passion for it, and if you love real estate. And what's crazy is most people have some passion for real estate. A lot of people who are not realtors look about HGTV. How many television shows do they have about real estate? Flipping homes, selling
Mhm.
sunset. Like real estate is sexy, man. It is a
It is.
tangible asset. I don't understand the stock market, right? I don't understand Bitcoin. I know real estate. I can touch it. I can see it. I know exactly where it is. It can't walk away. It's always right, other than maybe 3 years, right? From like maybe '08 to 2011. It's always appreciated in value every other time. Like it is a sexy commodity that people really like. And I don't think that changes until we start living completely in virtual world. People need homes, they need places to live. So it is an industry that will always be booming, my man.
Amen, man. Hey, one quote I want everyone to walk away from that I heard you say, and I was like, wow, I love that. I believe you said something along the lines of, "Do you own your business, or does the business own you?" And
Yeah,
I was
man.
like, wow.
We
And I
all feel
think,
that, right? We can
oh
all
yeah,
feel that. Because to be honest with you, at some stage it is going to own you. It's
hmm
your job to determine how long, right? At
hmm
some stage it is going to own you because you have to grind because you can't afford people. You can't
hmm
afford these things. So it's an army of one at first, most of the time.
hmm
So it is going to own you, but you love it. You have a passion for it. You bring something to do in the marketplace.
You got
If
to get out of that. You got to break through it, right, man? You got to
yeah,
expand through that. Yeah.
once you have the sales to do it, don't be greedy. Don't sit in that place for too long. Say, no, I need my $300,000 in annual commissions because I've developed this lifestyle.
hmm
One of the best things I did was I didn't live to my lifestyle. So I was
hmm
able to reinvest into my business because I wasn't living at capacity. If you're living at capacity, you can never spend the money to hire the people to buy the leads or to buy the software because you're living at capacity. And that's unfortunately it used to be just in America. I think it's a worldwide thing. We want
Oh
we
yeah.
we want to spend every penny we got. Live beneath your means. Dave Ramsey, who's a great one, he has a statement I'm going to steal right now. Live like nobody else, so later you can live like nobody else.
I
Right?
love that one. Yeah, I know that one. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good one.
yeah, yeah. I stole that one. I had to give him credit because I mean, but that's true. Live under your means. Drive a used car. Pay cars cash. Don't live off credit cards. Live beneath your means. Have it so that you can, really get out of that race, so that you can
hmm
build a system. So that then again, you listen. We're gonna work at least 20 to 50. Most of us will work more hours than we will ever spend with our family.
hmm
If you're going to do that, Trent, you better like what you do. You better
Yeah.
like what you do. And so there's going to be nobody loves every aspect of their life, but I think most of our goals is to wake up in the morning excited to go to work, right? Do you wake up in the morning excited, Trent? Right? You wake
Oh
up.
my God. Yeah, man. Like, look,
Yeah,
I just did like a 3 day conference and working like 15-hour
yeah.
days. And then, and then I'm here and I'm waking up and I'm going to talk to you and
But
I'm
it's
excited to
it's not
be here,
like
man.
work because you're
No.
excited about it. Like you're
Yeah.
stoked about it. If you wake up every day and it's a grind and you hate it, and listen, there's always periods of that. But man, I found myself at one time right before I sold my business that like I was for about 2 years. It felt like a grind.
Yeah.
And once I got into that space where my business wasn't running me, I was running my business, then I could just focus on the things I was passionate about and do those things. And it's a beautiful place to be.
hmm
It is one of the things in real estate, a lot of us got into it is because we thought we'd have these flexible schedules, right? Online, all of our friends that are realtors are going out to martini bars and going to all these events and yeah, there's some of that, man. Don't get me wrong. Networking is in every industry. There's trips to Nashville, right? There's trips to Utah, there's trips to Las Vegas, but um there is a grind behind all that. And so you love what you do,
Absolutely.
so that if you're not going to be spending time with your family, that you're spending time doing something worthwhile that you're passionate about.
Manny, it has been an absolute blessing talking to you, man. And I know anyone who's watching and watching this back or anything like there's so much lessons here and so much value you've given today. Thank you so much. Hey, I want
Amen.
to ask too, Manny, how do I get a hold of you? Someone wants like if someone wants to get a hold of you, how do they connect with you?
Yeah, man. Again, Manny Sarnes on social media. Instagram is at MJ Sarnes. Again, I'm like most people. I'm 46, man, but I do try to live in today's day and age. So you can absolutely, I'll give you my work number is 407-252-9921. You can text me at that. If you call, I probably won't answer. Like most people, I don't answer my phone much, unless it's a direct client, but you can absolutely text me at that number. I have people all the time text me. I'm happy. Listen, I'm passionate about watching people grow their business,
Mhm.
any industry. So if I can help or lend credence to any of that or lend advice to any of that, I'm right there and I'm all for it, man.
Awesome, Manny. Hey, thank you so much again for spending some time with me today and us and letting everyone listen to this. So
I
thank you
appreciate you.
again
Hey,
and
man, look forward
look
to seeing
forward
you
to
at the
having you
next
back.
convention, brother.
Yes, absolutely. We'll see you soon.
Absolutely, man. Safe travels.